applied at this level.
The outcome of a 3-year Ghana-EU project to improve the capacity of universities to make their products better placed for jobs has been shared with the media in Accra. The project involves 3 Ghanaian universities, European partners, and the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement, WACI.
Known as the Erasmus Impression Project, the aim of the initiative is to bring innovations in teaching and the learning experience of students. It is particularly to improve the quality of programs in water resource development at the Bachelor of Science level, the teaching of energy and natural resources at the Master of Science level, as well as MPhil in crop science with specialization in plant breeding at the University of Ghana. The project has a focus on curriculum modernization, digital innovation, and faculty capacity building. As part of the project, a video studio has been developed for lecturers to record their lectures, which can be put on a digital platform. A student who misses a lecture due to ill health, for instance, can access the lecture on his or her phone. Key players in the project explained how the various aspects of the initiative would make participating universities better placed for jobs.
The project has been a success. It involved, first of all, undertaking a survey, the impact of those programs on graduates. Where are the graduates now? What are they doing? Are they working? Are they employed or unemployed? And what are the gaps in the program when it comes to green solutions?
The project involved 3 Ghanaian universities, the University of Ghana in Accra, the University of Energy and Natural Resources in Sunyani, and the University of Environment and Sustainable Development at Somenya.
In 1965, Ghana chose her own value. From cowries and pounds, the city was born, our pride in our own hands. It flowed through markets, palms, and memories, and became part of daily life. Through every season of change, the city has remained a constant in Ghanaian life. In 2007, we took a bold step, ushering in a new era of confidence and stability. Today, the city lives in banks, markets, and apps, rooted in tradition, shaped by history, carried by innovation. 60 years on, it remains our heritage, our identity, our pride. Know the city. Keep it clean. In 1965, Ghana chose her own value. From cowries and pounds, the city was born, our pride in our own hands. It flowed through markets, palms, and memories, and became part of daily life. Through every season of change, the city has remained a constant in Ghanaian life. In 2007, we took a bold step, ushering in a new era of confidence and stability. Today, the city lives in banks, markets, and apps, rooted in tradition, shaped by history, carried by innovation. 60 years on, it remains our heritage, our identity, our pride. Know the city. Keep it clean.
Welcome back from the break. Time for business news. Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman says Ghana's engagement with the IMF must move beyond crisis support to a more balanced, developed-focused partnership as the country records signs of economic recovery. The Vice President was speaking at a meeting with heads of the International Monetary Fund's country and regional offices in Accra, where she reflected on Ghana's economic journey amid global debt and financing pressures. The meeting was held in Accra on Tuesday, January 20, 2026.
Meeting with the IMF, Vice President Professor Nana Jinoko Agyemang told the story of Ghana's economic recovery, emphasizing macroeconomic stability, single-digit inflation, a steadier cedi, and strong GDP growth.
Ghana's reality is markedly different from a year ago because the reforms driving our recovery have been nationally led, rigorously implemented, and supported by our partners, including the IMF. Inflation has dropped sharply from double digits to single digits, consistent with the target of the government and the independence of the central bank. The Ghana cedi has stabilized and at times appreciated against major currencies.
She said Ghana's recovery is driven by national-owned reforms, supported but not dictated by the IMF and backed by tough policy choices. The Vice President noted that while Africa faces structural challenges, it is increasingly becoming confident and capable of shaping its own development path.
Africa is ready to do more for herself while sustaining mutually beneficial partnerships with global institutions. Ghana's recovery demonstrates what is possible when strong national commitments meet coordinated multilateral support. This is not a perfect story, but it is a credible one.
She reaffirmed government's commitment to self-reliance, fair international cooperation, and leveraging opportunities such as the African Continental Free Trade Area to sustain long-term growth.
The Ghana Gold Board has signed a landmark gold refining agreement with Gold Coast Refinery, a major step towards deepening value addition within Ghana's gold sector. The partnership seeks to reduce Ghana's long-standing reliance on exporting raw gold, a practice that has historically led to significant revenue losses that could otherwise be captured through domestic refining and downstream processing.
Under the agreement, gold sourced from both artisanal and large-scale mining operations will be refined locally for trade and export, bolstering Ghana's position along the global gold value chain. Speaking at the signing ceremony in Accra, Chief Executive of Gold Board, Sami Gyamfi, said the agreement will significantly enhance the implementation of a track and trace system across the gold sector. He explained that Ghana's daily export of approximately 1 ton of gold will now be shipped in refined form with a minimum purity of 99.9%, the highest standard in the industry.
We commenced the drafting of an agreement between us and Gold Coast Refinery, which agreement has gone through rigorous scrutiny by the governing board of the Gold Board and our sector minister. Now, this agreement, which we'll be signing a few moments from now, is going to ensure that we are able to achieve total local refining of all the gold we export out of the country.
According to him, the development marks a major milestone in Ghana's gold trade and will help maximize national benefit from Ghana's mineral resources. He added that the agreement will create more direct and indirect jobs, particularly because Gold Coast Refinery has committed to operating 24/7 in line with government's 24-hour economy policy. Gold Board emphasized the partnership will help anchor more of the gold value chain within Ghana, ensuring that the country derives maximum benefit from its position as Africa's leading gold producer.
Time to look at the performance of the local currency on the forex market as well as prices of the commodities. Let's go back to earlier story where traders and operators in the hospitality and retail sectors in Accra have welcomed the introduction of more than 240 metric tons of tomatoes supplied through collaboration between the West Africa Food System Resilience Program (FSRP) and FarmMate Limited from the Upper East region. The supply is an ongoing intervention by the FSRP under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture aimed at addressing the recurring nationwide tomato shortages and sharp price fluctuations, particularly during the dry season.
In Ghana, tomatoes account for about 40% of total vegetable expenditure. However, only 34% of the estimated 1.4 million metric tons of tomatoes consumed annually are produced locally. To address these challenges, tomatoes produced through the collaboration between the West Africa Food System Resilience Program (FSRP) under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and FarmGate are harvested and packed directly on farms using solar-powered, temperature-regulated mobile pack houses. When officials toured the Palace Mall and Accra City Hotel, representatives described the tomatoes as fresh, well-handled and of high quality.
The tomatoes that come from FSRP and FarmMate, it's the best quality so far because they follow a very good sorting program. They use certified seeds, free of chemicals, free of pesticides, and of course a trusted source of water.
At CMB and Agboblushi Market, traders who spoke to GBC News commended the quality of the tomatoes, noting that increased local production would help reduce imports, stabilize prices and ensure that more money remains within the Ghanaian economy. Beyond the FarmGate collaboration, the FSRP Norwegian Tomato Support Program is being implemented in 20 districts across 6 regions, involving about 1,500 farmers, 40% of whom are women. The program has so far recorded average yields of about 10 metric tons per hectare, with expectations of reaching 50 metric tons per hectare by the end of 2025 dry season. The broader objective of the project is to strengthen West Africa's preparedness against food insecurity and improve the resilience of food systems in Ghana.
On the foreign front, Uganda's opposition leader Bobi Wine says he will not contest the results of Thursday's election in court, citing a lack of confidence in the judiciary, and has instead urged his supporters to take to the streets to peacefully protest. Speaking from hiding, he said he will continue to stand up to President Yoweri Museveni despite concerns for his safety.
Bobi Wine, the 43-year-old former pop star, said the judiciary in Uganda is captured and they encourage Ugandans to use any legal means to fight back and protect their democracy. President Museveni, 81, won the vote by a landslide and has accused the opposition of seeking to overturn the results through violence, calling them terrorists. He gained 72% of the vote, while Mr. Wine, his closest challenger, got 25%. Mr. Wine, whose real name is Robert Kyagulanyi, maintains the results are fake and has cited ballot stuffing without providing any details. During his interview, he also hit out at the security forces for not allowing food into his family home, where his wife and relatives are effectively under house arrest. He says he fled the house in a suburb of the capital Kampala on Friday night during a raid by the security forces. The authorities have not responded to his allegation, but the Uganda Human Rights Commission, UHRC, said the technical and procedural challenges observed on polling day did not undermine the overall fairness of the vote. In their report, the African Union (AU) election observers said they saw no evidence of ballot stuffing but condemned days-long internet shutdown, which only returned hours after President Museveni was declared the winner on Saturday.
Police in northern Nigeria say reports that worshippers were abducted on Sunday from churches in Kaduna State were false. In a joint statement with local government officials on Monday, Kaduna State Police Commissioner Alhaji Mohammed Rabiu described the information as mere falsehood, which is being peddled by conflict entrepreneurs who want to use or to cause chaos.
Earlier, a local official in Kerminwali said that gunmen had kidnapped dozens of people attending different churches. There has been a series of mass kidnapping in Nigeria where both Christians and Muslims have been targeted. Gangs frequently carry out such attacks to get ransom payments. But referring to the alleged abductions, Kaduna's police commissioner challenged anyone to list the names of the kidnapped victims and other particulars. The chairman of Kajuru local government area, Dawuda Madaki, said security forces were sent to Kerminwali after reports of an attack but found no evidence of the attack. When asked, the village head also said there was no such attack. Police also quoted the state commissioner for internal security and home affairs saying religious leaders visited the area. However, a community leader had earlier said that armed men attacked the area on Sunday and kidnapped 177 people from 3 churches. He said 11 people escaped, several others were injured, and no deaths were reported. In November, more than 300 students and teachers were seized from a Catholic school. They were later released in 2 successive groups. It was among a spate of kidnappings that made international headlines.
In sports, Accra is set to become the heartbeat of African arm wrestling as Ghana prepares to host the 15th Africa Arm Wrestling Championship scheduled for March 1 and 2, 2026. The 2-day continental showdown will not only bring together Africa's strongest athletes, but will also serve as a qualifying event for the upcoming Africa Games, raising the stakes and excitement for competitors and fans alike.
Africa is coming. Accra is ready.
Accra will be hosting the 15th African Arm Wrestling Championship in 2026. And this competition will also serve as a qualifier for the 2027 African Games in Egypt. That alone tells us how important this event is. What happens here will shape who represents Africa at the Games and how this sport continue to grow across the continent. You are to promote the championship through local media and marketing channels. You are to ensure safety and security for all participants and attendees. You are to seek adequate sponsorship for the hosting of the championships. You are to be responsible also for Team Ghana's successful participation. You are to provide regular updates to the Africa Arm Wrestling Federation and the Ministry of Sports and Recreation on preparations and event progress. And you are to ensure, this is also very, very important, that doping control procedures are followed as per relevant anti-doping regulations, because we want our sports competition to be clean and to be fair. We don't want anybody to win because the person has doped. So this, among others, will be the responsibilities of the local organizing committee. Since I became the Minister for Sports and Recreation and I've attended a number of events, I have no doubt that we have selected the best persons to be able to manage this process and to give us a great showing for the Accra 2026.
President of Kalibi Volleyball Club, Mr. Bernard Mona, says the local organizing committee is on course to deliver a well-organized CAVB Zone 3 Club Championship in Accra. Accra will host the championship from March 1 to 8, 2026.
In 2 months' time, Accra will host the Confederation of African Volleyball CAVB Zone 3 Club Championship. The host club, Kalibi, says there is no cause for alarm. Club chairman, Mr. Bernard Mona, says local organizing committee, LOC, are working to deliver a world-class event.
This championship so far is appearing to be possibly the best ever participated tournament for the Zone 3 community. So far, we have received confirmations from 3 teams from Burkina Faso, male and female, 3 teams from Cote d'Ivoire, male and female, 3 teams from Nigeria, male and female, 1 team from Niger, 1 team from Togo, and Ghana. We are having about 5 teams so far that have already indicated intention to participate in the sports. So clearly, this is becoming the most participated tournament in the sub-region, and we are grateful that we have the right to do the hosting. The Ghana Volleyball Federation has so far committed every arsenal that they need to support the efforts. In the end, what we have seen of the LOC is that they are appealing to corporate wealth. They have put in place security measures. They have put in place transportation and accommodation issues that we are confident that we'll be able to host. What is exciting is that 2026 Ghana host, and we are hosting in the month of our independence. That is from 1st to the 8th. Well, everything has its momentum. If you take the timetable and the schedules that the LOC has designed, you know that there are events that have to take place in between the period. And so for now, you will see that the countdown has started. Participating clubs are eager to hear more and more about the volleyball because of the way we launched the tournament. And yesterday, if you check on many platforms, they had to take a statement from me as the president of the Kalibi Sporting Club.
Officials of Kalibi Volleyball Club says their aim is to, among others, make Ghana the new destination for volleyball excellence in the sub-region.
On a rather sad note, Ghana's gospel music fraternity is mourning the death of gospel musician and composer Yaw Sarpong, founder and leader of the renowned Asomafo Gospel Group.
News of the death of gospel musician and founder of the Asomafo Gospel Group, Yaw Sarpong, was confirmed by his manager, Nana Puku. Yaw Sarpong's death comes barely a month after the loss of Mami Tiwa, a key member of the Asomafo Gospel Group. Yaw Sarpong is said to have battled ill health for years over the decades. Yaw Sarpong and Asomafo produced timeless gospel songs, including Woha Oneseng, Irade Kasa songs. That continue to resonate in churches and Christian gatherings across Ghana. In recognition of his immense contribution to the music industry, Yaw Sarpong was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2025 Telesil Ghana Music Awards. As gospel music lovers reflect on his life and ministry, Yaw Sarpong is remembered not only as a gifted musician, but a mentor, composer, and a spiritual voice for most Christians. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
May his soul rest in peace. That's how we end this afternoon's package, but there's more news at gbcghanaonline.com. Thanks for staying tuned. My name is Doreen Ampofo. Bye for now.
In 1965, Ghana chose her own value. From cowries and pounds, the city was born. Our pride in our own hands. It flowed through markets, palms, and memories, and became part of daily life. Through every season of change, the city has remained a constant in Ghanaian life. In 2007, we took a bold step, ushering in a new era of confidence and stability. Today, the city lives in banks, markets, and apps, rooted in tradition, shaped by history, carried by innovation. 60 years on, it remains our heritage, our identity, our pride. Know the city. Keep it clean.
Farmers in a rural town in eastern Austria are looking to cultivate Mediterranean-style staples as the impact of climate change sees winter weather in the region warm up. Young entrepreneurs William Merkel and Jonathan Berg are among those seeking to turn their local town of Gols in the eastern state of Burgenland into their own version of Tuscany, an Italian region producing some of the finest olive oils in the world for centuries. This once far-fetched idea is now becoming increasingly feasible given the dramatic climate shifts which are taking place. Since the turn of the 20th century, temperatures in Austria have risen by 3 degrees Celsius, more than twice the global average. Previously, olive trees would not survive Austrian winters of the past, but they are now thriving thanks to the milder climate, with some olive groves expanding across several hectares in the area. Over the last 3 years, Mackall and Beck have planted some 400 olive trees and are expecting to steadily increase production. Beyond olives, some Austrian farmers have also started cultivating rice, while wine growers are testing new heat-resistant grapes. This comes as traditional crops are challenged by increasing periods of heat and drought in the summer months. An industry analyst says the agreement between China and the European Union (EU) on providing general guidance on price undertakings for Chinese exporters of passenger battery electric vehicles (BEVs) to the EU will help stabilize industrial and supply chains. The move aims to address relevant concerns in a more practical, targeted and consistent manner with the World Trade Organization (WTO) rules. The statement noted that in spite of mutual respect, the two sides have conducted multiple rounds of consultations in order to implement the consensus of the China-EU summit and properly resolve the EU's anti-subsidy case concerning Chinese BEVs. To that end, the European Commission on Monday issued guidance on the submission of price undertaking offers covering various aspects that should be addressed in any such offer, including the minimum import price, sales channels, cross-compensation, and future investments in the EU. Each price undertaking offer is subject to the same legal criteria, and the Commission will conduct each assessment in an objective and fair manner, following the principle of non-discrimination and in accordance with WTO rules. On the same day, the China Chamber of Commerce for Import and Export of Machinery and Electronic Products (CCCME) also issued a statement welcoming the positive outcome of the consultations.
Chinese authorities issued a regulation on Monday that includes 14 measures outlining the allocation of government investment funds to support the country's major strategies, key areas and weak links where the market is unable to effectively allocate resources. This is the first state-level systematic regulation of its kind. It was jointly released by the National Development and Reform Commission, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. Government funds designated under the regulation must not go to restricted, eliminated industries or those explicitly prohibited by policies. The measures say national-level funds should support breakthroughs in key core technologies, emphasizing the need to address industrial weaknesses and development bottlenecks. Local funds are directed to select investment directions in line with local industrial foundations and development realities. The measures aim at solving the problems of mismatching between local resource endowments and industrial foundations, and clear fund positioning and homogenization of investment directions during their establishment and operation. According to government experts, they represent a milestone in standardizing the flow of funding for the optimization of China's high-quality development.
Visiting Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said on Saturday that China is willing to work with Lesotho to strengthen exchanges on governance experience, enhance coordination in multilateral affairs, and advance the China-Lesotho strategic partnership. Wang, also a member of the political bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, made the remarks when meeting with Lesotho Prime Minister Sam Matekane in the capital of Lesotho. During the meeting, Wang congratulated Lesotho on the 60th anniversary of its independence this year and spoke highly of Lesotho's government's efforts to prioritize economic development and steer the African country onto a path of sustainable growth. Since the Beijing summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in 2024, the two sides have advanced cooperation under the 10 partnership action plans unveiled at the summit, successfully implementing a number of key projects to effectively promote Lesotho's development and revitalization. China stands ready to work with Lesotho to strengthen exchanges on governance experience, enhance coordination in multilateral affairs, and push for greater development of the China-Lesotho strategic partnership. Xi'an, the capital city of what is now northwest China's Shanxi province, has played a pivotal role in facilitating China's exchanges with the rest of the world through the ancient Silk Road. The city, which was called Chang'an in ancient China, served as the starting point of the Silk Road. Chang'an was the capital city of several ancient Chinese dynasties, including the Western Han and the Tang, from 202 BC to AD 907. Stepping out of the Xi'an railway station, one will encounter the colossal ruins of the Danfeng Gate of the Daming Palace. This gate was a national gateway of the Tang dynasty. Over 1,300 years ago, envoys from all nations from every corner of the world would pass through this very gate to pay homage to what was then the world's most powerful empire. In Istanbul, the Topkapi Palace Museum, built in 1478, was the heart of the Ottoman Empire. As camel bells echoed across deserts from Chang'an and merchant ships sailed oceans from East China's Guangzhou city, treasures of civilization from ancient China ultimately settled within this museum. Its collections include vast numbers of Chinese paintings, calligraphy, and precious gold and silver artifacts, among them 12,000 pieces of Chinese porcelain.
Cuba on Monday denied holding any conversation with the U.S. government beyond technical contract on immigration matters, but reiterated the willingness to negotiate. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel said on X that his country has always been willing to engage in, quote, serious and responsible, unquote, dialogue with various U.S. administrations, including the current one. He emphasized that such dialogue must be conducted, quote, on the basis of sovereign equality, mutual respect, principles of international law, mutual benefit, without interference in internal affairs, and with full respect for our independence, unquote. Diaz-Canel noted that Cuba scrupulously complies with the existing bilateral immigration agreements, adding that, quote, as history has shown, for U.S.-Cuba relations to progress, they must be based on international law rather than on hostility, threats, and economic coercion, unquote. U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday suggested Cuba should make a deal with Washington. The United States launched a large-scale military operation against Venezuela in the early hours of January 3, taking by force Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. The strikes have drawn worldwide condemnation and concern. Following the U.S. military raid on Venezuela, Trump said that, quote, Cuba is going to be something we will end up talking about, unquote, and warned Cuban President Gustavo Petro to be careful. Danish scholar Jean Oberg has issued a stark warning about the escalating militarization of the Arctic and the implication of the United States' pursuit of Greenland, criticizing the U.S. approach as a violation of international norms and calling for a global non-violent campaign to counter what he perceives as a dangerous shift in global politics. In an interview with the China Global Television Network CGTN on Sunday, Oberg, who is the founder of the Transnational Foundation for Peace and Future Research, described the U.S. interest in the Greenland, particularly under the Trump administration, as a move driven by a desire for resource control and a unilateral vision of American survival. Beyond resistance, Oberg also highlighted the media's role in promoting alternative, positive futures of the Arctic. He sees the region as ripe for global, regional, and national cooperation, advocating its complete demilitarization through international treaties. Oberg expressed concern over the rapid expansion of U.S. military presence in Nordic countries. The Danish expert believes that Greenland should serve as a hub for global cooperation, not militarization. In the latest development, U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday once again claimed that the United States will acquire Denmark's Greenland, quote, one way or the other, unquote. Speaking about Air Force One, Trump said that regarding Greenland, he was not considering leasing or short-term arrangements, but, quote, acquiring the territory.
Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen held a joint press conference on Tuesday afternoon, delivering a firm, unified rejection of external claims over Greenland, noting that it has not been easy to stand up to the completely unacceptable pressure from their closest allies for a lifetime. Frederiksen said at the press conference there is much to suggest that the hardest part is still ahead of them. Frederiksen framed the stance as a matter of fundamental principle, saying that this is not only about Greenland or about the kingdom, but it is about the fact that borders must not be changed by force, that one people cannot be bought. Nielsen added that it is about ensuring that small countries should not fear large countries, while stressing that Greenland is not for sale. He also added that the goal and desire remain peaceful dialogue based on cooperation with respect for constitutional position, international law, rights to their own land, and rights to self-determination. In another development, Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen and Greenland's Foreign Minister Vivienne Modsvedet will attend talks in Washington with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Wednesday, according to Danish local media outlets.